Hello students, let's discuss software licensing, part of topic 5, 5.2.3, Edexcel GCSE Computer Science. Um, the main types of licensing that will come up are open source, proprietary, so proprietary software, and freeware. Okay, and what the difference is between these. The way I remember open source is to look at really famous examples of open source, my favorite being Blender, and also GitHub, because it really sort of helps you remind you what open source actually means. So open source software is licensed. Okay, it is licensed software, but is free. Okay, so I'm going to put free. It's free to use, and can be viewed and edited. Okay, so I can see the source code for this. So if I went to GitHub, I can see all the different branches of somebody's software that they've put up there with an open source license. I can look at Blender, I can look at the source code for Blender, I can add my own things to it as long as I make it available. So I have to make it available to others. So that's where something like GitHub is super important, because it allows anyone to see the different branches that people have worked on that are available. And languages like Python, which aren't compiled, lend itself quite nicely to this, because you can see all the source code as it's interpreted. It's not like C languages where it's all compiled at the end into one executable file. So Python is quite handy for this, as well as other interpreted languages. So that's why a lot of it might be written in Python. So what is freeware? Okay, it is free, hence the name. Requires a license. It will require a license, so which restricts use. Okay, it can't just be. It is free to buy, or free to download or whatever, but there are some restrictions to it. So you can't just distribute it, and you can't amend it in the same way that would be open source. It might be a free little widget or something like that for your Mac or your computer, to a little countdown timer or something like that. Proprietary software is made and sold by companies. So I'm going to put made, sold by companies. Okay, so proprietary hardware would be something like a lightning cable, which is made by Apple to fit their iPhones, and that's it. It doesn't work with anything else. It's proprietary. Also, Firewire was like that too. So software is the same. I mean, you might have Microsoft Office, 365. You might have Pages. It's all proprietary. Okay, they're made by the companies and sold by them. So you do not, as a user, own the software or its copyright. Only the license to use it. Even if you buy it, you don't actually own it. You only have a license to use the software. So you'll never get access to the source code, and you won't be able to modify it. Okay, so just think of Microsoft Office 360. So here we go. Software, this is an exam question. Software licenses and open source can be used free of charge. Give one other characteristic of open source licensing. So you could put any of the ones that I mentioned there. Source code is accessible. I think that's probably the easiest one. Accessible. Source code can be edited. This is also there for a mark. Amended. distributed. And another might be support not provided. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, open source is amazing, but companies want to make money, so proprietary software will offer you support. There'll be Microsoft support packages available. If you wanted support with Blender, there'll be a community on a forum, but it's not officially supported in that sense. And if you've made your own extension to it, you're at the mercy of whatever people have written. There could be vulnerabilities for it. There could be issues that come up in the wild. But yeah, I remember GitHub and Blender for remembering what open source is. That's the takeaway from this.